Hey guys, Bring It Wade here, back with another Borderlands video, and today I'm doing an updated Zane character build video. This is very similar to my Assassin clone build, but it's a bit more improved, getting ready for that new content coming out on the 8th of April. So let's get straight to it. So the first thing we'll do is go through the gear. The first gun we've got is the Flipper. Obviously a very good gun for any Zane build. This particular Flipper has corrosive and cryo elements on it, really handy. And the anointment we've got is elemental critical hits can cause status effects of that element to explode, creating a nova that deals 500% of the status effect damage. Really handy for what it is, and the cryo element is really handy for this build because this build really takes advantage of cryo elements, dishing out a load of damage, especially when enemies are frozen. Next gun we got is a light show, arguably the best pistol in the game. I've gone for a cryo light show. I just mentioned that cryo is really handy for this build, so yep, a cryo light show is where I've gone. The anointment I've got on this isn't too great because it's on action skill end, and most of my action skills are active most of the time. But I have got other light shows, like I've got this corrosive light show and a shock light show. The anointment on this one is a lot more handy, so while an action skill is active, weapon damage is increased by 200%. That's the anointment I would have preferred to have on my cryo light show, but life isn't perfect and I haven't farmed it yet. I've then gone from a plasma coil, and again, a really good SMG in the game, and probably one of the best out of this and the Flipper. The anointment I've got on this is while Sentinel is active, gain 100% of damage as cryo bonus, so that's really handy for this build. Not only that, the fact that it's got radiation and shock elements on it is really handy, and it gives me a bit more of a variety when I've got cryo and corrosive with my Flipper. So two really good Malawan SMGs there, and these three guns are pretty much going to run the entire show. I have got a back burner if I do get into trouble. That would give me an easy second wind, so the back burner is handy to have. But this full slot, you could have any gun of your choice. You could have a wedding invitation, you could have a Lucian's Call, you can have any gun you like using yourself, really. For shields, I've gone for the frozen snowshoe. I think anyone will tell you any cryo Zane build will recommend a frozen snowshoe. That's exactly what I've gone for, and yeah, it's just really doing me the world of good. The anointment I have is on action skill start, activate any effects that trigger on shield break or fill. Not the best anointment for this same build. I would recommend an anointment such as while Sentinel is active, movement speed is increased by 15%. That's what I would have preferred. But the overall effect of this frozen snowshoe is what I wanted, and it creates novas every time I activate my action skill. The novas, 9 times out of 10, they freeze enemies around me. So yeah, I'm really happy with the snowshoe, and that's what I would recommend. We then got the Seeing Dead class mod. It was always going to be the Seeing Dead class mod. It's probably the best class mod you can have for Zane. So whenever Zane damages an enemy with his weapon, he has a chance to automatically activate all of his kill skills, and they gain an increased 10% effect bonus. And with the amount of kill skills I've got on with this build, it's always going to be the Seeing Dead. So yeah, really happy with this, and I'm happy with the rolls at the bottom. Got increased fire rate, increased shield capacity, increased weapon magazine size. I have got other Seeing Deads where I've got increased action skill damage, for example, health regen, weapon damage, pistol damage, Malawan damage, and SMG damage, which is helpful to boost up my guns. But honestly, this build doesn't need it, so I've just gone for shield capacity and magazine size and weapon fire rate because that's what's working at the moment. So but the rolls at the bottom, whatever works for you is what I would recommend. For grenade mods, I've gone for the P grenade. This is a great grenade at buffing and nerfing either enemies or allies. So yeah, I've gone for this, and yeah, it's just really handy. When it comes to enemies, it does an increased. It does a 20% increased damage for 6 seconds. For allies, it extinguishes status effects, which is really handy in all areas. For the artifact, we've gone for the pearl. This is this was always going to be the Pearl, I'm afraid, because I really like using it. It really suits the light show, the flipper, and the plasma coil. And the fact that I've got health regeneration and increased health rolls on this artifact, it was a no-brainer. So yeah, I've gone for the Pearl. You can use a Snowdrift. I've got a Snowdrift here, which increases pistol damage and action skill cooldown rate. That's a good alternative. An Icebreaker is again another good alternative. So, and yeah, I would go for the Pearl and hope you luck out with a decent roll, like I have here. So that's the gear, guys. Onto the skill tree, so we'll start off with the Hitman skill tree first. We've got the Sentinel active and the augments. We've got our Winter's Drone, which converts the primary weapon to cryo damage. And we've also got Bad Dose, so Sentinel occasionally shoots out a beam of radiation that weakens enemies and buffs Zane. Again, another really helpful skills there to buff us up. Onto the skills, we've got Violent Speed. This is a kill skill that increases Zane's movement speed, and this effect stacks twice. Really handy to have, especially when we're using Violent Momentum, which increases our gun damage the quicker we're moving. So we're moving fast with Violent Speed, and we're getting extra gun damage from Momentum. It's really handy to have there. We've then got Cool Hand, so this increases Zane's reload speed, and this is another kill skill that increases the reload speed. We get an extra 15% in general and a 30% after a kill. Really handy to have. Drone delivery, so this is where we're taking advantage of our P grenades because our drone's going to be dropping them, so really good to use. Salvation, I've got 1 point in this just for a bit of lifesteal. I didn't need it because of the health regen I've got, but lifesteal doesn't hurt, so I did just put it in there for the hell of it. We've then got Seeing Red, much like Seeing Dead, but activating the action skill automatically activates all of Zane's kill skills. Additionally, they get increased effects, so we're getting an extra 15% bonus from this. The Seeing Dead class mod is giving us an extra 10% bonus, so we're getting an extra 25% bonus on our kill skills at this point in time, but we will get more in a second. We've then got Violent Violence, so this is another kill skill that increases our fire rate. We're getting an extra 27%, which is huge. We've got 1 point in playing dirty, but this has come from the class mod, so not massively important, but 1 point is not going to hurt from our class mod. We've got Good Misfortune, so this is another kill skill that just increases our action skill duration. We want our action skills being out for a long time, and ideally we want anointments that are in effect when our action skills are active. So yeah, this is really helpful at using that ability. And then we've got Death Follows Close, so this is increasing our effect and duration of our kill skills, so we're getting another 25% bonus for our kill skills along with the previous 25% from Seeing Red and Seeing Dead. That's a huge bonus we're getting, and massively noticeable with our damage output. We're also getting kill skill duration, so really handy to have and pretty happy about skill tree. On to doubled agents, so we have got the clone in use, and the augments we've got with it are this one, which I can't pronounce, so I'm not even going to attempt it. But whenever the clone takes damage, Zane's shield is restored by a portion of that damage, and yeah, that's just really handy, especially when we're using which one's real, so enemies are more likely to target the clone for a few seconds once it's summoned or swapped with. So yeah, once it's summoned or swapped, enemies are going to target it, and when it takes damage, our shield's getting restored, so this does really help out overall. We've then got Synchronicity, so whenever one or more Zane's action skills are active, he gains increased gun damage. The clone and the drone are going to be out most of the time, so just that increased gun damage is going to help us out. Extra 20% is really handy, so it's 20% per action skill, so it's actually 40% when you've got your clone and your drone out, so massively helpful. We've then got another skill I can't pronounce, but it increases Zane's and his clone's magazine size for an extra 25%, which is really handy. Borrowed Time, Zane gains increased action skill duration for every action skill. That extra 30% is really useful. Donnybrook, possibly the most important perk of this build. We've got 5 points in this, plus another 3 points from our class mod. We're getting 36% extra damage, gun damage, and yeah, it's a kill skill that we just really want. Whenever Zane kills an enemy, he and his clone receive increased gun damage and health regen. It's just massively helpful. The gun damage is really noticeable, and the health regen is a nice little bonus. We've got fractal frags, so the digi-clone throws a copy of Zane's current grenade mod. We've got the P-grenade, so we're just taking advantage of that grenade mod a little bit more. I could have put duct tape mod on, but I thought I'd just go for fractal frags for 1 point. We've then got Old You, so if we're in Fight for Your Life, we can just get up with the click of a button, so really handy if the back burner's not in use, if the back burner's not around for whatever reason, but it's just an insurance policy effectively. We've got Supersonic Man, so whenever one or more Zane's action skills are active, he gains increased movement speed. Increased movement speed means increased damage, so really handy to have. Boom Enhance, so this really buffs up our clone, so whenever Zane summons his clone, it consumes up to 3 grenades. For every grenade consumed, the Digiclone gains increased gun damage, max health, fire rate, reload speed, and Digiclone duration, so really handy to have, and you can see all those buffs we're getting at the bottom of the info screen. We've then got Trick of Light, so Zane deals bonus cryo damage to enemies that aren't targeting him, and because they are going to be more likely to be targeting our clone, this is really handy to use. So we've got, and then we're getting an extra 30% of damage from this. I could have put an extra point in this, but I didn't. But yeah, it just helps out with the whole cryo element thing we're going with here. So nice little perk to have. We then got Double Barrel. Again, this one just gives Zane the gun we're using, and that's either going to be the Light Show or one of the Malawan SMGs we're using. And our clone is also getting an extra 25% gun damage, so our clone is getting a nice load of buffs, so it's doing a lot of damage, which is really handy to have. So yeah, that's about it for Doubled Agent. Now, I had about 10 remaining points after this, so I had one of two options. I could either go, and that was either to go for the Brain Freeze perk or go for Commitment in the professional skill tree. Now, I went for Brain Freeze because it is a cryo skill, and I was sort of going for a cryo build while making this build. The first 5 points I used in this row was ready for action, just to increase my shield recharge rate and shield recharge delay. I didn't need to put them in this one. I could have spread them out if I felt like it. I could have put a little bit in adrenaline if I wanted to, or in hearty stock. But no, I went for ready for action just so I could get Brain Freeze. So whenever Zane scores a critical hit, there's a chance that the enemy will be slowed, and this effect stacks until that target is frozen, which is really handy when we get a lot of damage output with that cryo element. Alternatively, as I mentioned though, Commitment is another way to go, because this is a kill skill that gains increased gun damage and action skill cooldown rate. I didn't feel like I needed it at this time, but if you want to be buffed up a little bit more, you can go this way. I mean, when you're using Brain Freeze is probably used more for mobbing, and the increased gun damage and action skill cooldown rate is probably used more for bossing. That's what I would recommend. I like using Brain Freeze, but Commitment would be my alternative, and for the 5 points in the first row, they could go anywhere, if I'm really honest. I don't think it really matters, but they are my two recommendations. And yeah, that comes to the conclusion of the build. So that's the build, guys. We'll do some gameplay now and see how it goes, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out my channel for more Wing It Way content. I'll be back in the near future, but for now, goodbye from me.